Yeah, this is a rant video on Forsaken. Big shocker. Well, it's a long one, so sit back, relax, and grab some popcorn or something and enjoy. So, Forsaken. I have nearly 20 days on this game, and it seems to get more and more frustrating every single day.
There are many, many reasons I think this, and many things I would change. But we all know the devs probably won't see this, so. Oh, whatever. Maybe if enough people see this, it'll get to the devs. Now, let's actually get into the problems. And after I'm done addressing them, I'd get into how I'd personally fix them. Oh yeah, also, leave constructive criticism. I know that's a lot to ask from the Forsaken community, but please just take some time to think about the things I say, okay? Okay, back to the video. So, let's start with some of the general problems of the game. I am not going over the soul situation or the amount of controversies like the scrap skins and all that stuff, as this is mostly a gameplay oriented video. So, there's a lot of issues regarding the general balancing of this game. It is heavily survivor sided, and more than ever since the Guest 666 update. I remember when I used to play killer and actually have fun winning, and now that's a luxury, as sometimes I'm just left scraping at my skin because it's so difficult to catch up to them. And in a game about being a powerful and unstoppable force, you sure are very stoppable. Not to mention the fact most killers simply cannot catch up to survivors, and when they can, it takes abysmally long. So, first I'm going to go over every survivor's problems, starting with the starter characters like Noob, Shedletsky, and Elliot, and ending with V since she's the newest survivor. Noob. Noob is quite good. Unlike many of the other survivors, though, I wouldn't call him OP. He's great for helping himself and somewhat his team with Slate Skin. I don't have too much to say. I'll go over him more in the balancing section. Oh, Shedletsky. I am very, how do I say this? Double-sided with him. On one hand, I feel like a free stun is great. On the other hand, I feel as if his stun is very lackluster. His stun is slow and leaves too much room to be attacked, as well as being very easy to dodge and see coming. The chicken is busted. Like, it needs to be tuned down, though. Like, even if just a little bit, it needs to be tuned down. That thing gives too much health. So, we have Elliot next, and I definitely think he's definitely the best survivor in the game. Like, just period. Like, why, some of you may ask, or not if you have any experience actually playing this game. Well, first of all, 25 health heal that increases with generators done, a free getaway tool, and no punishment besides lower HP. That, guess what? HP doesn't matter if you can just run away from the killers indefinitely. He definitely needs to be tuned down. I'll go over him in the balancing section more. Next, we have Guest. He is by far the worst survivor in the game, being worse than 007, which is saying a lot. He's a noob trap, costing a meager 500 points and having extremely punishing, lacking, and difficult moves. Okay, first let's start with the big problem here. His block. It is terrible. The block is the core of his kit, and it's terrible. It gives you two things: immunity to damage, asterisk, and your punch. Nothing else. Oh, remember that asterisk? Yeah, you can't block range projectiles. Another asterisk? What do you mean, another asterisk? Well, you can in technicality, but the problem is that one, you don't get a punch. Two, any negative effects from the range projectile will still be applied. And three, you still have the end lag from the block. Now you may have remembered he has charge, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's his best move in this kit, and it still sucks. Unless the killer's in an inclined ramp, you gain no distance from a charge. In fact, you lose distance unless the killer's right on top of you. I mean, the invulnerability is nice, but it's still a very weak move. Oh, yeah, 115 HP. Um, it's the only objectively good thing about him, but it also has like a big mental flaw, and it just makes people think they're invincible when they really aren't. I mean, dude, one cool kid brick and you're just as squishy as everybody else, and yeah, it just causes people to take unnecessary risks, and it just ends up getting them killed. Oh, Chance, this might seem controversial, and it probably is, but I think he's a horribly inconsistent character. He's either the most godly survivor ever or the first one dead. His entire shtick is luck, and that's about it. His gun is either the best or worst gun in the game. Most of the time, it's the best. And it doesn't even have a 100% chance of firing, which is stupid. Like, I personally hate luck. Any form of luck based mechanics in the game. I want skill, and I know it's cool and all to have a luck based character, but it's just not fun in my opinion, especially when the gambler can have more health than the war veteran. Very stupid idea, by the way. Two time. Oh dear gosh, two time. Where do I even start with you? Two time is just the epiphany of OP, and he was meant to be a stealth survivor. I mean, like, 3 second stun? Check. No skill to hit a stun, it's mostly luck? Check. Oh, wildly inconsistent hitbox. You bet. Oh, not to mention that this character technically has 120 HP if you count the second life. And the healing from stabs. Jeez, who thought this was a good idea? Also, no, I'm not going to go over the spawnism situation. TLDR, if you believe in that stuff, you're a moron and deserve to be publicly shamed. Aha, now we have Dusakar. I feel Dusakar has gotten a bit changed. I guess that's just the best way I can put it. I do understand that, yes, he was OP and stuff, but he was also a bit more just useful back then. I think he's a bit more fun from a solo survivor's perspective, but he's just not as good for helping the team anymore. And yeah, he's just still not very fun. His app is very helpful, yes, and I honestly wouldn't change much about it. Again, more on the balancing section later. The shield also feels relatively nice to use, but the problem is just his lack of interest and his constant targeting problem. He feels just a bit too powerful sometimes and too weak on others. And then when you have a bad team, he just gets curb stomped because he can barely do anything. Yeah. It's a get the job done kit, mostly, not like a flex kit, and like nobody likes that. So plenty of people think that's fine. I think that's fine, but like it's not as many people like him. That's why nobody plays him. He's just not very fun. Builderman is the person you level up and never play again. Not because he's bad, far from it. He's a really good support. It's just that he is boring, but with less flash and pizzazz as Dusakar. He's a slower character to play, and leveling him up is time consuming. But when he works wonders. He can single handedly destroy matches, and that's lame. I mean, like, I have no problems with this dispenser, but the sentry, it's so oppressive to the killer. It slows him down so much. It's not fun to play against. And then when you get targeted as Builderman, it's also not fun. It just no, it just doesn't feel right. It feels too slow, and it doesn't feel fun. Taff is actually kind of fine in my opinion. Like, well, mostly. You see, the trip mines are very weak and don't do much of anything besides giving helpless, which is really annoying in my opinion. That and the tripwires are really good. They have infinite range and slow the killer for a while, not to mention they last a long time, and if hidden, are quite hard to see. They're also like super spammable, and you can just like toss them around whenever. Like, just put them anywhere, and like the killer can almost barely ever see them if you just hide the little pegs, and bam, now that's slowness 2, and that's basically just ended the chase for them. So, next is 007, and he's quite weak, in my opinion. His teleport's really the only good thing about him now, that his clones got nerfed, so they no longer have hit priority when lower than normal 007's HP. The teleport is really good though. A map-wide teleport that can go to killer spawns. By the way, if you didn't know, it used to be able to only go to survivor spawns. Is honestly quite busted, and if you're Slasher or especially Cool Kid, you're pretty much screwed. Veronica, oh man, where have we gone so wrong with Veronica? She is easily one of the most busted survivors in the game right now, and if you play 1x or Slasher, just kiss yourself goodnight, reset, leave, because you're not winning. Veronica has the most broken form of movement tech in the game, and a game being balanced around not being able to jump to dodge the killer. They gave a survivor the ability to jump. Graffitis may have gotten their health reduced to 5, but that's not stopping any Veronicas from hiding in places that you'll have to go out of your way to find, wasting precious time. Veronica's modes are also extremely annoying to deal with. Firstly, you got phase mode, which is like overrated in my opinion. It's a small speed boost for a brief amount of time. Bumper mode is not punishing enough for the insane spammability it has. Just imagine a guest charge, but it has a 5-second cooldown and is more consistent. And lastly is mobile mode. In my opinion, the best and most balanced mode, and it just allows some turn control after you land, which is very nice and not overpowered in my opinion. Now it's time for the killers. The killers are at the heart of the game, right? And they're so fundamentally bad despite being the power role of the game. They all have their own problems themselves, whether they're overpowered or underpowered. Let's start with one of, if not the worst killer in the game, Slasher. Okay. Well, you know what? How about to get some context, let's take the Pursuer from Die of Death, right? Well, he's a starter killer just like Slasher. Now, where Pursuer goes right from where Slasher goes wrong is in a few ways. Firstly, Pursuer has an ability to slow down survivors. And as both are rushdown killers, they need all the distance they can acquire. Okay, so Pursuer, right? What is this supposed slowdown ability, right? Now, Pursuer's slowdown ability is his Howl, and it's very good. It allows them to gain plenty of distance, and it's very useful. Like, completely complements their rushdown playstyle. But then you have Slasher, with his supposed movement ability being Raging Pace. Raging Pace does nothing for you. It slows you down and caps your stamina. The only thing good it does is increase your damage, but like, that's it. Like, why? Why would you want to go slower and let them gain so much more distance than you? And before little Timmy comes in and says, "Oh, but because they run away, they're losing stamina." Yeah, but guess what? They're gaining more distance than you're gaining stamina. So it doesn't matter. They're just gonna regain that stamina back and with a distance advantage now. It just doesn't matter. He does not work. Okay, let's also take Behead, right? I have a big problem with Behead. Now, let's take Pursuer again, right? Pursuer's version of Behead is Cleave, and it doesn't just prevent the player from playing the game in a fun way button, it actually does damage with proper end lag, unlike the negligent slowness one you get with Beheading. Now, Beheading, it lunges you forward a little bit, right? But it gives helpless if you hit it with only an M1's worth of damage, like nothing else. Like, why would I use a movement ability to try and just give them helpless? Like, not only is helpless just a dumb move, like I hate it at all. Like anytime you'll see me talk about that with 1x. I just it's not fun because you don't gain much distance from it, and the slowness one just doesn't feel fair because like it's barely anything. If you're gonna give some slowness, might as well give slowness when it matters, right? Oh, cool kid. Well, cool kid. Jokes aside, we all know how garbage this killer is. He used to dominate every single lobby, and now he's just a shell of his former self. Right, so firstly, M1 deals quite a lot of damage, but hitbox is also the smallest in the game. Is that like really a fair trade-off? I don't know. I'll let you decide on that one, but I personally don't think so. His abilities are also quite strange, right? So he has a little gray brick, and it deals 15 damage and applies slowness for a few seconds, which is pretty nice if it weren't for the fact it's so slow it can be seen from a mile away. His walk speed override is like decent, I guess. It deals a very nice amount of damage, but like it's also a bit too punishing to miss. And finally, his minions are meh at best and pretty much useless at worst. If the survivor is noob or 007 without LMS, the clones will have a very hard time finding them, as their undetectable abilities make them nearly impossible for the clones to stay locked onto. Also, for being like a rushdown killer, he's a bit too slow in my opinion. Next up is 1X, and he is without a doubt an overpowered killer in the right hands, but most survivors and looping in general can counter him. But besides that, entanglement is absolutely busted. Survivors should never be able to get stunned without the killer also being locked in an animation as well. Mass infection is a bit too damaging in my opinion, and minions are straight overpowered due to their sheer numbers and relentlessness. I'll go a bit more into him in the balancing section later. Hey man, like my buddy John Doe was like found in a ditch last night. Yeah, um, John Doe's garbage. He used to be a great killer, but then he got thrown a curveball and has not recovered since. He's actually so much of a joke to the devs, they quite literally joked that John Doe just wanted to be included in the devlog because he did nothing. Or he got nothing, I mean. So, what are his oh gosh, there's a lot of problems. Well, let's start with his spikes. First, they deal 12 damage per spike and can hit 4 times. I mean, I personally would have preferred a wall to fit his trapper playstyle. Wait, you didn't know he was a trapper? Well, as any trapper should be, they need a good map, and John Doe requires luck to get a good map to be able to use his spikes and digital footprint well. Speaking of digital footprint, I don't have too much to say, but I do think it's a bit too weak. It's too small, and there aren't enough of them to effectively cover the map. His passives are also very interesting. You see, he has a passive called Unstoppable, right? But the problem is it's barely a passive. It's a conditional passive, which is so stupid because passives should always be present. And the reason he had to change from being an actual passive that simply made him hard to stun to being a very situational thing is because the devs were worried about a bug that I don't even think it fixed. Now, for his corruption trail, it's bugged like 90% of the time because whenever John does a very specific action, I'm pretty sure it's being stunned or something. The part that spawns the trail and the text bubble sinks into the ground and causes the trail to become useless, even though it's a reliable source of chip damage. His M1 is fine in my opinion. It's a nice punishing hit that I feel is deserved. Not much to say about his M1. Noli has potential, but his potential could have been used for so much more. Firstly, his M1 feels both really powerful and also weak at the same time. It has a raw damage of 25, but because of damage over time effects, he technically has a really weak M1 attack compared to the others. Secondly, his Void Rush is a nice map crossing tool with solid damage output, but the turn control is weak and can be very easily broken by accidentally bumping into a wall. However, the end lag is not enough though. It definitely needs to be like increased. Nova is super weird. It's not so much a tool for damage as it is to catch up. But if you don't have any walls around you, it's difficult to land it, and therefore you just slowed yourself down for no benefit. Observant, which is a map-wide teleport, is completely busted. I do not think you should be able to go that far as normally with one tap of a button. Lastly, his clones are straight up useless unless they're a bad player or a builderman that's having to deal with him. The former is very obvious, but the latter is because the builderman gets his building interrupted by the clones, which is extremely strange and annoying, especially because the time they stay is very inconsistent. Clones can stay for like 5 seconds or a minute, and like even turning away and stopping looking at them is super inconsistent too. Like, what counts as looking at them? G666. Oh, buddy, do I have some words, and they are not very kind. Firstly, as a controller player, Guess 666 is terrible to play. Not only does Eviscerate not work, but Leap feels so awkward and weak. Leap does barely any more than an M1 and is horribly punishing to miss. You go flying across the galaxy if you miss, and paired with his slow speed, you will take forever to catch up to him. I don't even think you can catch up to the survivor at that point, and it just makes for a super unfun experience. Because he's so big, he cannot loop well at all due to always having to take a softer corner, and any medium high walls that you can loop around completely trivialize him. Don't even get me started on his howl, because it barely does anything to help the looping problem. You can still loop him. He doesn't get like any much more fast. And his rage mode, right? His big blood hunt. That's like the big scary, right? It gives him a nice speed boost and pauses the time. Oh, wait, what's that? He doesn't pause the timer. It's just hidden and it's not allowed to end. It does not pause. It still keeps ticking on. So if he has like 30 seconds left in the match and he does not kill anybody, he'll be left with 10 seconds in the match because Blood Hunt's about 20 seconds. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. So yeah, if you just loop a guess 666 forever, you'll just win, as nothing he does can help him. And he's supposed to be a snowball character, by the way, I'm pretty sure. And he's so bad at being a snowball character. Oh, well, there's barely anything he can do unless he uses keyboard and mouse because Eviscerate is completely bugged otherwise, and that's like his secondary form of attack. It's like his big speed boost, and it's barely a speed boost either way. It's like a behead, but like actual damage, and like hemorrhage is nice. Now it's time for the fixes. We've all been waiting for this one and for the controversies to start piling in. And yes, I am very well aware that what I'm about to say is probably very hot takes. But you know what? Please at least be civil when you're trying to discuss this, okay? You know? First, the first general change I'd make is that like Sentinels can only do like one or two gens per puzzle, because Sentinels should not be able to camp gens and just let their teammates die. Like, the point of a Sentinel is to protect your team, not do gens in the back of the map. Now, for Survivor specific fixes, the only thing I change about Noob is maybe give Slight Skin a bit less health so you can't just tank everything in the world. So, Shedletsky, the first change goes to his sword. I think he shouldn't like move as slow when slashing. So like buff the movement when he's actually slashing, and also make the end lag a bit lower. I think that it's a bit too punishing after he slashes and misses, or even hits for that matter. His chicken though should be changed from about 40 HP to 25. So instead of an effective HP of 180, he has an effective HP of 150, which should be a lot more manageable for the killer. Elliot. Uh, Elliot's heal should be changed from 25 HP to 15, but instead of a 5% increase to his healing per generator, I think it should be a nice 8 to 10%. So you're more incentivized to do generators and then help the team heal. So, I also feel like the speed should be changed from speed 3 to speed 2, and also have like a tiny bit of end lag, similar to adrenaline from Dive Death, but not less like abysmally bad. I hate adrenaline from Dive Death. I might make an entire video separate about that. I know I didn't address some of my problems, but I also think it'd be nice if Elliot got a passive called like VIP or something. And basically, they have like negative hit priority over survivors, meaning that anybody can body block an Elliot. Guest entire kit revolves around getting block baited, so why not fix that? Firstly, punch has a cooldown, maybe like 30 seconds, but blocking would completely skip the cooldown and allow you to parry for 2 seconds afterward. Now, you're also healed a bit of health for blocking, but like maybe turn guess health from like 115 to 110 to compensate. Charge needs to be more consistent and knock back the killer to fix distance rather than being based on Diddy code. Also, guest increase hit priority should have a special effect where multiple survivors cannot be hit. Basically, what I mean by this is if guest and another survivor were to get hit from, say, Slasher, then that other survivor would not get hit. Only guest would. Although I'm not sure that could work because Diddy code. Yeah. Oh, yeah, the range projectiles thing. I actually think that block should get in its own entirely new status effect called blocking. It's basically the same as invulnerability, but it allows all projectiles to deal full damage and bypass the invulnerability. So like you can't block projectiles at all now, which I don't know why you could in the first place, but yeah. Now it's chance. Yes, this is very controversial, and it might be considered like a very big change, but I think his whole gimmick about luck is boring and unfun. So let's make his bullet a projectile first, like the revolver from Die of Death, because honestly, I think a hit scan revolver is very annoying, especially because it's so punishing. Like it for the killer. I mean, it's very punishing for the killer. Okay, it has like a 5 second stun, which is very bad. I think it should be at most 3 seconds. It should not be that good. It should be a long range stun, and it should stay a long range stun. Then, at 3 charges, make his gun a 100% shot. At 1 charge, it's 50%, and at 2, it's 75%. But yeah, 3 charges on percent. You should be able to shoot every time without worrying about blowing up. His health luck thing can stay though. I don't really care. Keep some form of luck within him, right? 2 time. Firstly, let's give him his proper stealth survivor roots like he was meant to be. Remove the dash on the crouch, right? He shouldn't be trying to go for quick stabs, but helpful corner stabs to help a teammate while they're in chase, right? His stun should be a lot lower, and the hitbox should be projected forward and shrunk so that you can't get cheesy backstabs by running right in front of the killer. Um, I also think like the little spawn symbol thingy shouldn't glow, but it would still be visible. I don't know. That's just me. His second life should also absolutely gut him. He needs to be on the brink of death. 30 HP. I know that might not seem like much of a change, but at that health, he could not survive a mass infection anymore, and that's very important. He should be able to be killed by like pretty much anything. Deuce the card time. Maybe like make his zap longer to like 150 studs instead of 90, and maybe like make him look cooler with like more cool zap or something. I don't know. Okay, Builderman on the balancing side, I think he needs his sentry to be a little more powerful. I know it sounds strange, but what I'm about to suggest would make more sense, okay? Just hear me out. Considering Builderman is so vulnerable while building, I think he should get a satisfying payoff for helping the team, and that comes in the form of slowness 3. However, to prevent it from being too powerful, make it one shot, 20 HP, okay? So that it can be killed in like one hit, right? So it's an actual pest that you have to get rid of, but it's also not too much of a big deal for the killer, right? Killer's job is already hard enough. Why make it too much harder? Um, Also, like on the visual side, I think maybe it's like animations could use a glow up. It's just a bit lame right now, in my opinion. Yeah, might attract a few more people. I don't know. That's just my opinion. TAF. I think making the subspace trip mine not give helpless is probably the best option, with the trade off of heavily increasing the subspace effect it gives. Trip wires should have a limited range and also give less slowness, but be harder to spot. Now, you may be questioning why I'd make them hard to see. Yes, that was like the main reason I complained about them was because they were hard to see. But it's actually not because of that. It's because they were so punishing that the visibility also really helped. But now that the trip mines have been tuned down, I think that they do deserve to be harder to see now. Hope that makes sense. 0077. I think that cloning should not give invisibility. Now, this is also, again, another one of those really big gameplay things that doesn't exactly align with the problems I have, but I don't really know how else to fix them. So, instead of giving invisibility, that also makes you really easy and obvious to spot, you have to act like the clone to trick the killer, not slip away. Which it's kind of hard to slip away, whenever the killer can just see you. This also means that you wouldn't get undetectable, but I also think it's a fair trade off. Also, his teleport should take a lot longer. It just feels a bit too quick for the sheer amount of distance you gain. Veronica. The first thing I would change is to completely remove mode switching entirely. This is a very, very big change. Like, completely removing an ability. I know, very big. But I think this is important. If she bumps into a killer, sorry, pal, you're not gonna bump them back anymore. Basically, she would be stuck on permanent mobile mode, as I think that's the most fair option for both parties. It's not OP, it's not underpowered. I just feel like it's nice trade off, right? And it's also just less to micromanage on the Veronica side. It's I don't like to have to micromanage. That's a very like weird and strange thing to me. I don't like it. I mean, like, also regarding the bumper mode, she is a survivalist, not a support. She needs to stay that way. She's not there to really help other players besides doing gens or healing them. Secondly, I'd actually make her actual jump height a lot lower. Like her skateboard, like whenever she jumps, right, she goes really high, and she can just like dodge everything. Like she can jump over spikes, she can jump over entanglements, and I think that's really dumb. I think that she should not jump any higher than a John Doe spike. I think that's very strange. I don't like the fact that she can do that right now. Also, I would make her skateboard a 20-second cooldown, not 5. It should not be this spammable. And V spray paints need to be bright. I mean, glowing. Very easy to see. Also, make her actual like skating speed lower than running, but also higher than walking. And then whenever she tricks, she actually goes like a bit faster than running. Basically, she uses a bit less stamina when like just normally skating, right? But then as soon as she tricks, she starts going faster than sprinting speed. So like if you actually begin tricking, you'll begin going faster. If you're not tricking, then you're probably going to die because you're going to run out of stamina or something. You're not going to go fast enough. Well, it's the killer's time. It's their time to shine. The only general change I'd make about them all is that the health bar it should just not be there or like be hidden, maybe like just make them invulnerable. I don't understand why they need a health bar besides the very low chance that they're going to die, and I don't think that's very fun. Like, why would the killer have to run away from all the survivors? That's not fun. First up is Slasher, and the first thing I do is make his stamina 120. Make his walk speed the same as Survivor's so he can very easily catch up. If he misses a behead, he should gain slowness too. Instead of giving helpless when he actually lands up ahead, he should make it give bleeding 2 for more damage. And if he doesn't miss, he gains slowness 1 instead, so like he's just a bit slower. Raging pace should also be a lot different. This is another one of those super ultra gameplay changing things that would completely change him pretty much. But it should kind of be similar to Harkins in Rage mode. It starts on a 50-second cooldown at the start of the game, or maybe more. I don't really know about how the timer would work with that. But activating it increases his speed by 2. He can walk or run if he wants to, at the cost of increased stamina drain and a longer stun timer. So basically, if he's stunned for longer. He like all like the damage effects, like the damage increasing effects he has, like before this rework would stay. Like he still gets the extra damage and stuff. The effect goes away after 10 seconds or until he attacks. So yeah, you better like just use it to catch up and deal a lot of damage, especially like the head or something. That would deal a lot of damage. Oh, I think that removing him being able to use gashing wound while doing this would also be like a good change if this were to happen, because gashing wound would just be way too easy to hit and it would just be really busted. So maybe just not be able to use gashing wound while enraged, but like still increase all of his damaging moves and make him faster. Cool Kid, he should also be given 120 stamina and maybe have his walk speed increased to 11. So like not quite a Survivor's walk speed, but still quite close. He should summon 3 minions to really oppress the survivors. He's one of the weakest killers in the game right now, and everybody knows that. So why not give him some extra oppression power? Like, really hone in on that one person, right? I think his M1 should be increased to the same size as like all the other killers besides Guest 666, because apparently his hitbox is pretty big. But also have its damage decreased to 24. Walk speed override should go a little less far, but it should also be a bit faster to make up for it. And the minions should be able to see invisible survivors, basically like survivors being undetectable. And finally, the brick should probably have its speed increased so that it can actually hit things. So for 1x, the first thing I would do to change him is to change the way entanglement works. Instead of being a stun, it should just slow the survivor a significant amount, but not give helpless. That's a very stupid status effect if you couldn't tell at this point. This mass infection should also slow the survivor down, right? It's a shockwave pretty much, right? I think it should slow them down, but also only deal 10 damage. But I think that the poison should be turned up to like poison 3 maybe if it isn't already that. Minions should not be as busted as they already are. I think they should be slower, and they deal 25 damage, right? I know that's more, and you might be wondering, why would you increase the damage? Well, they also dissolve instantly upon landing a hit, and are unable to respawn. Unless he's able to use Rejuvenate the Rotten again, for some reason. John Doe. I would increase his M1 damage back to 30. I know this sounds strange, but he needs all the punishment damage he can get, right? Second, I think his speed should be changed to 27. And third, he should be able to climb over his spikes. Now, let me address those last two, right? For a trapper, they need to be slow. They should never be good in chase. And I feel like the devs are not like doing good on that end. I think they're focusing too much on a sniper playstyle, which I don't like. That's just not how he's supposed to be played. So, and then his climbing over spikes thing, so that he doesn't trap himself in. It will also allow him to counter loopers if they're trying to use his spikes to loop. So, addressing the unstoppable passive, I think he would be completely immune to stuns while spiking or placing digital footprint. And 404 error no longer gives a shorter stun time or immunity to stuns or anything at all. It should just be a survivor indicating ability, nothing else. I think John Doe should also be able to move a tiny bit while spiking too. Maybe like go like a little slower than walk speed, but that's a bit optional in my opinion. I don't really care if that happens or not. The last thing I would do is make the digital footprint larger so that it can cover a bit more of the gaps in many places, like that the big middle wall in Underground War. You know that? I think it should definitely like get fixed there because he's not the best on that map in my opinion. Oh wait, yeah, I forgot. Maybe spikes could last a little longer. That's also quite optional. I don't really care if that happens either. Oh crap! I almost forgot the biggest part about John Doe. Please change some of the maps so it's more friendly for John Doe. Or like if somebody's playing John Doe, maybe like lock certain maps so they don't have to suffer on them. Just a thought. So for Noli, right? This rotting corpse, okay? He should go at like 27.25 speed. Give him like 105 stamina, and you might be wondering, why are you gutting him? You just talked about how he's bad. Well, first, Void Rush should be a lot more controllable. Its initial hit would only do 5 damage, and the Big Slam would only do 25, so it would only deal a total of 30 damage now. Void Rush should be faster, though. Void Rush should be his main movement ability now. And Nova should also have a weaker pull, but also have a larger hitbox. It should also deal a little bit less damage, maybe 5 to 10. And finally, Observant should have a max range of about 200 studs. It should not be a map-wide teleport, or not, at least not completely map-wide. It should have some sort of limitation. G666, last killer we're gonna talk about, and we're approaching the final stretch of this video now. Firstly, please fix Eviscerate, please, please, please. I want to be able to use it. Second, though, make the leap slower when going straight forward, and also make it like go less when going straight forward. I don't want to fly across the map, please. I don't want to die. I don't want to lose. Uh, but make the jump height taller. When you're actually aiming up, make his jump height taller so that he can actually go up things a lot easier. Uh, Leap should also deal like 30 damage, so it isn't completely pitiful anymore. Howl should just give straight speed 1 straight up, like not the manic fixation stuff that he does. Yeah, yeah, I know that's another big change. Big change. We're just remove a passive. Yeah. I know. I'm one for removing things. I know. But yeah, the reason why yeah, I'm saying this right is because I just think speed 1 works more than manic fixation, which is a really weird passive. That and like manic fixation also allows you to go faster when you just use blood rush, which is weird. Why should you be able to highlight every single survivor on the map and get a free speed boost? It doesn't make sense for me. Howl should also have no size penalty under Blood Hunt, and it shouldn't do any more damage because he's yelling a little louder. Like, is he really breaking your eardrums that much more? G666 should also preferably keep the unpause timer thingy, but if they do decide to actually fix that and make his timer paused whenever they're doing that, they should, state that like properly. If they do keep the unpause timer thingy though, they should also state that. Yeah, like they should please tell people it doesn't pause the timer. It's just like a hidden timer. Thank you. Well, it seems we've made it to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching if you've actually made it this far. Even if you disagree with a lot of my points, which is highly expected, please tell me why you did in a very civilized manner, mind you. I want all the feedback possible. I am open to change, okay? I am one that can be swayed with opinions, and I am willing to debate people if you're civil about it. Most of all, though, I just hope at least a few of my suggestions get to the devs. Anyways, have a good day, and see you later.